Stop everything. King Charles just publicly humiliated Sadiq Khan in a way no British monarch has challenged an elected official in living memory. And Khan's response, he essentially told the king to mind his own business. What happened next has thrown British politics into absolute chaos. This is not tabloid drama. This is a genuine constitutional collision between the Crown and London's mayor. And the fallout is still unfolding right now. If you care about what's really happening in Britain, stay with me. I'm breaking down everything. Here's where it started. Wednesday, 9:47 in the morning. A royal messenger arrives at City Hall carrying a formal letter from King Charles's private secretary. The contents a direct, unmistakable rebuke of how London has been handling royal ceremonial matters. Now, let's be absolutely clear about why this matters. British monarchs don't do this. They stay deliberately, carefully neutral on political matters. That's been the unwritten rule for decades. So when Charles puts pen to paper to criticise an elected mayor, something extraordinary has pushed him there. The letter, confirmed by palace sources, expressed grave concerns about London's treatment of royal ceremonial routes and processions. The language was diplomatic. The message was not. If this story matters to you, hit subscribe now, because this situation is developing by the hour and you'll want to see what happens next. So what actually drove the king to take this unprecedented step? According to multiple sources, tensions have been building for 8 months. Khan's administration has repeatedly clashed with palace officials over royal events. 3 specific incidents stand out. First, trooping the colour rehearsals. Routes were restricted without consulting palace security teams. Second, a Commonwealth diplomatic reception. Street closure requests were denied at the last minute, creating logistical chaos. Third, and this is the one that reportedly infuriated palace officials, an internal City Hall memo surfaced suggesting royal processions should be scaled back to reflect modern democratic values. That phrase landed like a grenade at Buckingham Palace. But the final breaking point, the Lord Mayor's show. Khan's team proposed routing this 800-year-old tradition away from its historic pathway, the same route used since 1215. The justification, traffic management. Palace historians didn't buy it, neither did constitutional experts. The pattern was clear. London's administration was systematically reducing the visible presence of the monarchy in the capital. Charles decided enough was enough. What happened next will be studied in political science courses for years. At 2:15 that afternoon, Sadiq Khan stood outside City Hall, faced the cameras and delivered a statement that constitutional lawyers immediately recognised as explosive. Nobody tells the democratically elected mayor of London how to run this city. Not unelected advisors, not aristocrats clinging to medieval privileges, and certainly not the monarchy. Read that again. A sitting mayor just publicly told the King of England to back off in language that deliberately invoked class warfare, using phrases designed to diminish royal authority. The response from Buckingham Palace was swift. Within hours, senior courtiers, speaking anonymously but clearly authorised, described the king as privately appalled by what they called Khan's extraordinary insubordination. Sources present at emergency palace meetings described the atmosphere as controlled fury. One senior advisor delivered the key quote, "His Majesty's patience has completely run out." Now, here's where this story transforms from political drama into constitutional crisis. At Wednesday evening's Privy Council meeting, King Charles reportedly made the most significant assertion of royal authority since the abdication crisis of 1936. London belongs to all Britons, the king declared. According to multiple sources present, not to the political agendas of one individual. But Charles didn't stop at words. He activated constitutional mechanisms that have sat dormant for generations, provisions dating back centuries that give the Crown oversight authority over London governance in matters affecting the monarchy and national heritage. Legal experts are still analysing the full implications, but here's what we know. Khan's administration now faces enhanced scrutiny on any decisions affecting London's historic character, ceremonial matters or Crown prerogatives. Palace-appointed constitutional advisors will review major policy decisions in these areas. Has Khan been stripped of power? No. Has his authority been significantly constrained? Constitutional scholars say yes. The strategic brilliance here is remarkable. Charles used existing constitutional frameworks, the very traditions KHN tried to diminish to check the mayor's authority. He didn't override democracy. He outmaneuvered Khan within the system. The political consequences have been devastating for KHN. Within 90 minutes of the King's statement, financial markets responded. Sterling jumped 0.4% against the dollar. Investors interpreting royal intervention as a signal of returning stability. Conservative MPs launched a coordinated media offensive. Former Home Secretary Suella Braverman declared, "The King has done what Parliament should have done years ago, stood up for ordinary Londoners." But the damage inside Labour may be even worse. Moderate MPs, terrified of association with Khan's constitutional confrontation, began distancing themselves immediately. Carefully worded statements praised both democratic accountability and constitutional stability. Political code for "we're not with Khan" on this one. The public response was overwhelming. The hashtag Defend the King trended globally for 6 straight hours. Number 1 in the UK, Canada, Australia and New Zealand. Over 340,000 posts in the first 4 hours. An organic wave of monarchist sentiment that caught political observers off guard. Then came the polling data. YouGov surveys conducted Thursday showed 68% of Londoners believe KHN overstepped his authority. Among previous Labour voters, 52% said they're reconsidering their support. Khan's approval rating collapsed from 47% to 34% in 5 days, the fastest male oral polling decline in London history. Protests materialised outside City Hall within 24 hours. Union Jacks, KHN must go. Chants images broadcast worldwide. For the first time since Khan took office in 2016, Conservatives lead in Greater London voting intention 36% to 33%. That's not just bad news for Khan. That's a potential political realignment. But here's where this story takes its most damaging turn for Khan. Leaked documents obtained by multiple Fleet Street publications reveal something potentially career-ending. Internal City Hall memos dated 3 weeks ago show Khan's office received explicit warnings from senior civil servants that confronting royal prerogatives would trigger rarely used constitutional mechanisms. If these documents are authentic, and legal experts who've examined them say they appear to be, then KHN knew exactly what he was provoking. Think about what that means. This means this wasn't a spontaneous defence of democratic principles. This wasn't an emotional response to perceived overreach. This was calculated. KHN's team deliberately manufactured a constitutional crisis. Why? The leaked memos suggest an answer. One document from KHN's chief of staff discusses leveraging progressive sentiment against traditional institutions as part of a strategy to raise Khan's national profile before the next general election. The memo explicitly mentions creating clear ideological separation from conservative monarchy supporting positions. In other words, Khan's team planned to use the king as a political target. They thought attacking royal traditions would energise progressive voters and position Khan for bigger things. They catastrophically misread the British public. Constitutional lawyer Professor David Hughes told the Beast, if the mayor received explicit warnings and proceeded anyway, he's not defending democracy, he's exploiting constitutional tensions for personal political advancement. That's a profound abuse of his office. Inside City Hall, sources describe absolute chaos. Khan's deputy mayors have reportedly split into warring factions. Some are urging immediate apology and damage control. Others are pushing him to double down, arguing that retreat now would be political death. One leaked WhatsApp message from Deputy Mayor for Transport Seb Dance allegedly reads, "This is electoral suicide. We need damage control immediately or we're finished." Khan himself appeared visibly shaken during a routine transport announcement yesterday. He stumbled over prepared remarks. He refused questions about the royal intervention. Sources say he's barely sleeping, surviving on crisis meetings that stretch past midnight. One insider's assessment, he's watching his legacy disintegrate in real time. Meanwhile, Rishi Sunak is seizing this moment with surgical precision. At a packed town hall in Kingston yesterday evening, the Prime Minister delivered a masterclass in political contrast. While others attack our institutions and disrespect our constitutional monarchy, we stand for stability, tradition, and the values that made Britain great. No personal attacks on Khan, no mockery, just steady leadership positioned against chaos. The polls reflect this strategy working. Conservatives have surged to 38% nationally, their highest in 18 months. Labour has collapsed to 31%, losing ground across every demographic. The international response has been uniformly brutal for Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, typically cautious about Commonwealth politics, praised the monarchy's role in maintaining constitutional stability. Australian leaders from both major parties expressed support for King Charles, even in new